doing this coffee break with Jimmy. There's a lot of unrest going on in Iran right now. I mean, they've got, I think, at least 90% of the people there are protesting the Ayatollahs. They want the Ayatollahs out. And you can't blame them. I mean, I was in the Marine Corps in 1978, and during that period when, I believe it was 79, when they exiled the Shah out of Iran, and the Ayatollahs have been, Ayatollah Khomeini and Khomeini, and I don't know, they got different names, but they're all pretty much the same, that have been in charge since then. So that's been 40 plus years. And, I do believe at one time, Iran, the Islamic Republic what does it stand? Well, I'll think of a minute what it stands for. Iran, what it stands for. But anyway, they were a democracy at one time, and that being, they actually dressed normally over there. The women did, and they were actually treated with some respect there. And I don't know much about how Iran ran their country at that time, but the Ayatollahs, and they've been in charge of their military there in Iran. They've been been saying they want to kill the West, they want to kill Israel, wipe us off the map, and that's why President Trump finally, dropped the bombs on their nuclear capabilities, and so they're not, they're not a threat anymore to create nuclear weapons. And what was it called? Operation Hammer. So it worked out pretty well. But since then, I guess the Iranians, I mean, they put so much money into their weaponry and everything, and didn't take care of the people there. So the people are, they're burning the place down. They showed different, parts of the city there in Tehran where they weren't just burning cars, they were burning buildings. They were really, they're just the Iranian people. And I've said this before, and I've known a number of people who have, that the Iranians have not been happy with their administration, with the Ayatollahs, and haven't been happy for some time. So I believe they will start another, democracy when the Ayatollahs are removed. Now, I don't know what Trump's going to do. I know he said something along the lines that, the Ayatollahs have to stop. They're actually killing their people that are protesting. They've taken young women that weren't wearing their burqas or wearing the proper dress and actually assassinated them, or killed them. And it's just, there's so much unrest there in Iran. And then, but it's like, okay, you would think they would apply for some kind of asylum, and I don't know that they could ever get out of Iran right now with their, with the Ayatollahs and their military that they have there. They're going to let anybody out of that country. There's nobody going to be able to leave there. And the only way to get rid of the Ayatollahs is President Trump, or I guess there are other nations in NATO that are willing to go in and remove the Ayatollahs. America, the way they did Maduro, and I guess there was a guy the other day that was actually part of the was in Venezuela when the Americans attacked, and they just took them apart, and he said we didn't lose any men, any military, we didn't lose any equipment. And we just systematically took them apart and got this Maduro out of there. And so it can happen for the Ayatollahs. We can get the Ayatollahs out of there. I don't know what's going to happen there, but we can get them out of there. And but I think there's going to be a lot of nations of NATO is going to probably do something here. I don't know. Everything was done by surprise when we got Maduro out of Venezuela, and maybe something will happen there. I know the Venezuelans, with the exception of I don't know, this Trinidad and Aragua. I guess they're mainly from Venezuela. I mean, those people have got to. We got to get them out of this country, and that's probably largely in part what ICE is doing right now, trying to get Trinidad and Aragua out of there. But anyway, we have to. I mean, Venezuelans, a lot of them want to go back because that's their country and they want to go home. But now the Somalis, and I mean, look at Dearborn, Michigan. The Muslims that are in Dearborn, Michigan. We can't have that sort of thing in the United States anymore. Either they got to come here to the United States. If they want to, ask for asylum. Well, then they have to be part of our country. They have to be part of the way we do things here. They have to assimilate to our way of life. And I don't know that the Iraqis, if they were to request asylum, even if we were to get the Ayatollahs out of there, I don't think they would request asylum, and I don't think they would, assimilate themselves to our way of life. And they had, I guess, the son of the Shah of Iran, who was part of the administration of Iran when they were exiled out of Iran. I guess he was on the news last night, and he was talking about that he has a system that he can come back in and help get democracy working there again in Iran and get their country back on track. And I believe the people of Iran, they want this. They've been wanting it for a long time, but they've been held hostage by the Ayatollahs. So I guess we're going to have to wait. There's so many things that are going on in so many different directions. Venezuela, things with this, with all the fraud going on here in the United States. A lot of it's happening like in Minnesota. California, I think some of the bigger fraud. I did a podcast on it yesterday, how the fraud is rampant in the state of California, and it has been. They say it's probably number one of all the states. And I believe that, and I mentioned a few things that there's fraud in the state of California. But a number of states, in fact, just about every state, I would imagine, probably got some form of fraud that exists there. So all that has to come to an end. So there's so many things going on, so many different directions. Here locally, that's it's on our own country. It's in our own hemisphere. They're talking about Greenland, buying Greenland, because strategically we probably need Greenland. We can't have Russia or China or anybody else there, operating in Greenland. As it is, we can't have them operating in the Gulf of America either. They can't. China's trying to take over the Suez Canal and all the what's going on there. It's just and we built the Suez Canal, and but excuse me, not the Suez Canal. The Panama Canal, I'm sorry. We built the Panama Canal. And, that's our logistics. Well, actually, it's logistics for everyone. And, China has, ships that are going to go through there, going one side or the other, and other countries also. And that's logistics for everyone. But mainly for the Western Hemisphere, for our hemisphere, okay? And we should be in charge of it. If Panama should be in charge of it, and if not Panama, we should be, or at least the Western, the America should be in charge of the Panama Canal. So but there's so many different things going on. I mean, it's just, with Venezuela and now Iran and things that are going on over there, and this has been going on for some time now, especially after we launched Operation Hammer over there. And so we have to wait and see there. Of course, we want the war to end in Ukraine, and Russia. Eventually, they're going to have to, Russia's not going to be able to afford that too much longer. And then you also got in the Gulf of America, Cuba and Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela kept Cuba alive. Now that Venezuela, we got Maduro out of there, Cuba's going to have to come around. And Cuba can be a democracy. They could. But, they've been under dictatorship for so long, I don't know if they'll be able to. I mean, even Marco Rubio, he is Cuban, and he said they could, but they're going to have to make some major changes there. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. These are all things that are going all different directions, but no asylum for the Iraqis. We don't need any more of the Middle East countries, mainly the Muslim countries, Turkey, any of those. They need to, they need to take care of themselves. They need to. I think Turkey will help in Iran also, and create a democracy there. And I think that's what Iran wants, and we can help them out. But no asylum for them, not in our country. We can't have any more of non-believers. If they're going to come to our country, they have to assimilate here. And the ones that are here, we're really having problems with them as it is. Especially the 25 million that came here illegally during the Biden administration. So, and Trump's having I still say Trump could still run in 28. Okay, I know J.D. Vance is probably a favorite there to run 28. I like Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio can run then. J.D. Vance, I just really think that J.D. Vance, we need him in the administration. Maybe he can run for vice president again. Maybe for Marco Rubio. Maybe for Ron DeSantis. They're all in line with Trump, and Trump can keep that MAGA movement running there with these other politicians. And I think they'll do the right thing and do it the right way. And Trump's going to keep his hand in it. Come on, they're going to look to him for advice in so many different directions. And I think it would be a good thing. And I think a lot of America wants that. They want the way things are going right now. And if I think if we just be patient, the Trump administration is going to get stuff done here domestically and abroad, especially here in the Western Hemisphere. Anyhow, so I just want to talk about a little bit of that today and see there's just actually so much to talk about. But I guess that'll give you something to think about, something to ponder anyway. See you next time on Coffee Break with Jimmy, and please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, all the above, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.